a science behind constructing offers. So I'm going to take you on a journey right now to explain to you as to why certain times there is a disconnect between performance and achievement and what it means for us when we are creating offers or when we are interacting with a market. So let's dive in straight into it. Performance is not always equal to achievement. In fact, you can be performing very well and yet not achieve the results that you want. Let's see a few examples. In your business, you may have created a great product or service, produced a great marketing plan to sell them. It is still possible that you still fail to achieve your goals. Now, it is quite simplistic to assume that you haven't performed, right? That's what happens with most of us. But have you ever noticed that there may have been times when you just can't understand why people aren't buying? I recently had a coach say this to me that my course is so much better than Tony Robbins. What is wrong with people? Or at this price, my product is a no brainer. Then why is it that no one's buying? This is my example, I recently bought a course from a very well known creator. The landing page was so compelling it got me. What was inside was total crap. The creator didn't perform as promised, but he achieved his results. I just hope I could give the name off to you. But, anyways, this is what happened. In corporate life, this is very common. High performance may get rewarded, but if achievement to you means the top job, for example, then it may not come just because you performed. Or you may present a great idea that the decision makers just didn't get or pay attention to, but chose a mediocre one easily, and that happens all the time. Messi wasn't an underperformer, yet until recently he hadn't achieved the World Cup success. You get the point, right? Performance is necessary, but it's not a sufficient condition for achievement. There is something missing there. On the contrary, even mediocre performance can lead to achievement. Even in, say, relationships, how many times have you heard people say, I gave it my all and did the best I could? In today's technologically capable world, Google may well be an underperforming search engine. Apple hasn't done anything brilliant since Steve Jobs. Facebook is literally a spy agency. Students from top ranked universities aren't finding jobs. Some best selling books are absolute disasters on fact checks. They won't stand a chance if there were a peer review mechanism. I'll give you some more examples. I was consulting with this large company, must be over 3 billion USD, and I was to make a culture roadmap for them. My final presentation to the board, and the chairperson said this is the best I have ever seen, but I don't think my people will be able to digest practices that are this good. Seriously, I'm not kidding. They finally implemented a third-rate solution with a well-known consulting firm and paid 10x more. Another assignment, I held this firm along from a 300 million to 8x in 2 years. It became a public listed entity. Now, naturally, as a result of doing this, I became the go-to problem solver for leaders within that company. It ended because the chairman felt insecure and jealous. He said, I need some importance that you are getting. Can you step aside for a while? Can you believe it? I have many examples to conclude this. Performance can even lead to non-achievement. There are several jealousies and insecurities at play. The earliest definitions of achievement are to perform, to execute, and to accomplish. This definition is perfectly fine if everything was in your hands. The moment you add an external variable or another person or entity that your achievement is dependent upon, for example, even a customer, you can no longer guarantee that performance and execution will lead to accomplishment. Every academic theory emphasizes performance, leading to behaviors for peak performance that will result in achievement. So people focused on peak performance, they create the best products, the best solution, the best courses, the best books, the best advertising, yet not everyone accomplishes the best outcomes. The peak performance theory implies that the problem is always you, and so you must correct yourself. I am all in for taking 110% responsibility, but I'm also scientifically curious. Assuming that I am always the problem may lead us to solving the wrong problem. Think about it like this: when I assume that I am the problem, I'll get better, create better products, better behaviors, better processes, and yet not get the results. Because the lack of accomplishment had nothing to do with my performance in the first place. Take FedEx, for example, guarantees delivery within 24 hours. Suppose that it started doing not so well. Would delivering in 20 hours solve the problem? I studied 147 peer-reviewed papers on performance and achievement. I've found no evidence that can correlate input of performance to output of achievement except for in very well-defined, intricate, technical machine-like tasks. Performance may not be equal to achievement. Even mediocre performance can lead to superior achievement, and even the highest performance can lead to mediocre achievement. The reason and the solution in hindsight is fairly obvious and simple. I'm going to break this down for you. I call it the performance achievement framework. You have an offer, product or service, or even yourself if you're in a job that is reliable, credible, and meets the needs of your stakeholder. That's the reality of every business. Reliability means, do you have a track record of fulfillment? This could be past experience, client demos, etc. Credibility means, do you have verifiable expertise to do this? Again, this could be past experience, qualification credentials, your unique accomplishments, anything. Stakeholder is anyone who gives you what you need for accomplishment or achievement. This could be your customer, employer, boss, coach, market, economy, whoever it is. Now, we all, based on our past experiences, have something to offer that is reliable, credible, and fulfills a demand, right? That's why you're in business. Most of us are very good at what we can do for our clients or stakeholders. The ideas we have are never good or bad. The problem is that our performance either doesn't translate to accomplishment or we don't even get a chance to prove ourselves. The customer doesn't try, the boss disregards, the client isn't ready for the new, the world is mediocre, the other side doesn't get it. The reason is it doesn't have stakeholder resonance. Stakeholder resonance occurs when the stakeholder agrees to implement your offer or suggestions. Your accomplishments or achievements are dependent singularly on stakeholder resonance. Till the time the stakeholder, customer or manager or boss has tried your product or service or expertise, he or she has no clue about its performance. It is only based on perceived performance. That is your promise, your CV, your past record, etc. The promise aspect of this makes it a marketing problem, not a performance problem, at least in the beginning. Let me explain. What do we promise? We promise to fulfill a stakeholder demand or need, right? And demand implies that there is a market and there may be other suppliers for the same. This could be competition, this could be other employees if you're in a job or other products. Even if you were the best, you still have to earn stakeholder resonance. Ideas, businesses, athletes, experts, executives, coaches, the best of minds are often unable to have the highest accomplishments because they fail to earn the stakeholder resonance. Sometimes, and I've been guilty of this, we are so good that we don't believe it's needed. But guess what? We'll just remain outstanding. But to accomplish things, even Steve Jobs had to take the stage and build stakeholder resonance. Stakeholder resonance is about understanding the demand and building the trust. Your current offer, no matter how superior, is not translating to demand or resonance because there is not adequate trust or there is no demand for it. Let's address both trust and demand. Trust is a function of two things, character and competence. For example, if you went to a doctor for an eye surgery, you will obviously select a doctor competent in that field versus, let's say, an orthopedic surgeon, right? It's a no-brainer. Now, let's say you found a highly competent doctor, but every time you visit him, you find him intoxicated. Would you be able to trust him for your surgery? Competence is not enough. Character plays a big part in trust as well. From a stakeholder resonance point of view, if I can't verify character or competence, I can't trust. If you are an established authority or a known brand, it is easier, even if your performance sucks, because I trust. This is not about faking it with testimonials and whatnot. It still doesn't translate to trust. If I can't trust, then I have to take a risk on you. We'd said earlier that if your current offer, no matter how superior, is not translating to demand or resonance, is because there is not adequate trust or there is no demand for it. Let's talk about demand. Desire to buy what you offer, plus no hesitation at your price point, plus willingness to take that risk of promise of fulfillment on you is equal to demand or stakeholder resonance. If you check mark all the three boxes, there is trust, there is demand. Any one missing link, desire, no hesitation, or risk appetite, means no resonance. Do I need this now? Solving a current need or problem? Do I trust you? Determines the journey from performance to achievement before even ever interacting with your product or service. This holds true whether you're trying to sell a product or a service as a business or trying to sell your ideas as an executive. In order to be trusted for what you propose will solve my problem, I have to believe in your authority to say so. But to be able to establish authority, you need the stakeholder to try it. So what do? You invent an iPod. Literally invent an iPod. If you're Apple in the late 90s, when stakeholders are not resonating with you, you meet the stakeholder at a lower reality. You might have the capability to do brilliant things, but you've got to meet the stakeholder at their reality where they currently will pose their faith in you. You meet the stakeholder at their reality. They don't trust you, you're not authority. Create your iPod. Which current need can, can a subset of your product or offering solve better than anyone else at a price point of least hesitation? Now, why am I comparing this to iPod is very simple. It wasn't a great product. There were many products existed that could hold MP3 players or USB devices which would hold millions of songs. What Apple did was just beautify the product, create a mini device, which in hindsight might look very silly, but create a mini device and market it as 1,000 songs in your pocket. No one else did it. It was a micro product, a micro offer, and it worked. And it solved a current need. You need to ask within your business this very important question, which is here on this slide. Which current need, not the big need, which current need can a subset of your product or offering solve better than anyone else and at a price point of least hesitation? This may for some even mean that you have to dumb down your current level of performance to an existing need only to gain trust. You see, you may be the best website designer in the world, but if I don't know you or trust you yet, a mediocre WordPress template will outachieve you. Or you may have the best leadership coaching method in the world. Again, a mediocre program by a known brand may be killing you. You may have the best solution as an employee for the future of your company, but your CEO may not be willing to risk it on you. Or as I believe, I have the best business breakthrough solutions in the world. I've designed them for the likes of McKinsey and Ernst & Young, but they sell mediocre versions of what we created for them at 1,000 times the price that I can even imagine. Stakeholders will have the resonance to buy whatever you offer once you have the authority. Authority ensures that your offer becomes the need. For example, Apple launching anything becomes a need. But to get to that authority, you have to build trust. To build trust, you have to solve a current and immediate need. In a way, this is similar to the theory of disruption, which is that you simplify an aspect of your product or service and make it most affordable to start penetrating the markets. Eventually, you can rise up to dominate that market. Amazon began with books, Netflix began as a mail and DVD service. One couldn't copy-paste text to send images and messages on iPhone 1. Before Beatles became Beatles, they played music at birthday parties, right? Everyone starts somewhere, but there is a big red flag. Take, for example, so many course creators and influencers these days launch micro courses at low prices. You have to outperform on value perception and conception by leaps and bounds. It might be a stripped down version, but it has to be iPod value. And it can't be a one-time thing. You have to have multiple such entry points to a stakeholder. And once you consistently perform on micro needs, you gain the authority to propose the big picture. Why? Because you've earned the trust. If you're in a job, for example, especially higher up, you will notice that performance alone is not getting you the achievements of a promotion. It happens to everyone. I hear so many people saying, but I performed better. I'm not suggesting sycophancy, no, but you must be aware of what your stakeholders' resonance is. Who is it who can give you that promotion What are their immediate needs or problems to solve? Solve it, reach the level of accomplishment. Once you have the authority, your suggestions are adopted. There is no trick, it's pure demand and supply economics, right? We are moving from a state of performance to achievement, which means you have an offer that is reliable, credible, meets the needs of your stakeholder. If yes, there is stakeholder resonance. And if you meet it in certain small way, you eventually get the authority to propose what you really actually want to do. Before you misunderstand this, this is not about creating micro offers or entry level products. It is about a fundamental understanding of demand economics. We started by saying performance is not always equal to achievement. The missing link is stakeholder resonance. The reason that we fail to understand our stakeholders is demand, and let's put demand into perspective. There are four kinds of demands as individuals or businesses in a generic sense. There is a demand for growth, progress, efficiency, and security. The demand for growth, the top level demand, is to all reach our goals. The efficiency is to get more done. Progress is to create a momentum towards helping other people achieve their goals. And security is the basic one to survive or sustain. The fundamental need is the need for security or safety, physiological or physical, again in life or in business. From security, we want to make progress, we want to see results. Progress really is what all of us strive for. Related to progress is efficiency, better use of our resources, time, money, people, assets. And we, the people in love with superior performance, position ourselves to contribute to the highest reward, which is growth. There is nothing wrong with going after the highest reward. Let's go back to that slide. We are people who are in love with superior performance. Almost every business likes to contribute and position themselves to achieving another person's highest reward, which is the growth. There is nothing wrong with it. Why should we not be of utmost value if we can be? Highest demand has highest skepticism because it has the largest number of people pitching it. You can check it out. If you're in the market for health, for example, you'll find someone pitch a perfect body. If you're in the market for courses, people will pitch you $1 million value. If you're in the in the market for marketing, they'll tell you we give you leads tomorrow morning. If you're in the market for jobs, people will pitch you the best company. If you're in for life advice, people will pitch you breakthroughs. If you want business help, you'll get guaranteed turnarounds. If you want a home loan, people will tell you how you can buy a mansion. If you're in the market for a holiday, you'll be pitched dream destinations. And if you're looking for some credits, people these days even sell honorary PhDs. Aren't you skeptical about all these promises yourself whenever you're in the market of any of these? These might be goals that you have, or people have, or businesses have, but they aren't demands, right? They're the end results. But because we don't know the demands, we pitch insanity. Let's take some examples again and see a difference. Let's say someone is in the category of health. The growth demand might be to pitch a perfect body. The progress pitch might be to lose 1 kilogram every week. The efficiency in that might just be to help you stay away from disease, and security might be to not slide further down. Let's say if you're in the market for marketing or you're a marketing agency, the highest growth demand might be hot leads, right? That's what everyone seems to pitch. The progress one might be that I will simply get you 10% more ROI on your ad spend next month. The efficiency could be that I will help you reduce 10% of your budget the next month. And security could be just ensuring break even. For example, if you are in the business of holidays, growth might be that you are selling me a dream destination. Progress might be, I will make sure your next holiday is better than your last one. Efficiency could be, I will help you save money or plan better budgets. And security could be, I will help you plan your budget and be smart. Just go for a domestic holiday or something. There are many layers of accomplishing needs. The difference is in understanding who your stakeholder really is. The fact to remember is this: the skepticism reduces with every layer of demand and when you hit the demand. Depending upon your product, service, or expertise, You need to figure out your play as to whether it's going to happen in growth, progress, efficiency, or security, right? Once you've built the authority, 120% play in the growth zone because that's got the highest ROI as well. Understand your stakeholders. Now, these are four important questions to get into, and I would urge you that after the session, take some time and answer these four questions in your workbooks as well. Who exactly is your stakeholder? Right? With what kind of a company is that person? Who is that person? What kind of a net worth is that person? Where is this person visible? What does this person spend time on? The more you can understand your stakeholder, the better offer you can create. What does your stakeholder consider value? Many a times businesses make this mistake that they promise value, or I as a business promise you value that I can create for you. It's important to understand, what do you consider value, right? My value pitch is on a perception of what I think you will value. You might be valuing different thing in your life right now. And then comes the question as to what is your play going to be. Is it going to be growth, progress, efficiency, or security? How much trust do you have available to you in your market right now decides your play. It is very luring to go and play in the growth area. But to get to the growth area, you've got to satisfy the current need. Remember, stakeholder resonance is the license to play in the growth area, and you have to earn it. And you earn it by somewhat playing a smaller need in the beginning. If you've already done it and you're in the growth area, wonderful, perfect, great. In which play can you offer the highest and most differentiated or most shocking value? And that becomes your achievement zone. Achievement zone leads to you being able to demonstrate value. That leads to establishing trust. That leads to giving you the authority. And that leads you in a position where now you can control demand creation with this set of stakeholders because you've already demonstrated authority. You can now control demand creation and play the growth field. Whenever there is a stakeholder change, new product or market, a new job or anything, the cycle unfortunately starts afresh unless you are an incredibly established world authority. In some cases, even then. Right? So this is our framework. The idea is to understand your stakeholder, understand your resonance, understand your demand place so that you're crafting offers and creating strategies initially within that demand play and not just an overall generic growth play area. Performance that means demand and wins stakeholders' resonance leads to achievement. Remember this is like the gospel of simplified truth from 147 research papers. Performance that meets demand. It's not about being superior or mediocre, it's about meeting the demand. And wins stakeholders' resonance as a result of meeting their demands leads to achievement. Your performance could be superior and meet only a part of the demand, but do it in a spectacular way. It doesn't lead to achievement, right? Performance that meet demand and win stakeholder resonance leads to achievement. Performance that fails to win stakeholder resonance doesn't lead to achievement. Micro achievements or lower areas can build trust. Trust builds authority. Authority is what you want to be able to create and guide demand based on whatever your business wants to offer.